Hey, how's it going out there, folks? Welcome back here to a Thursday, September 4th, 2025 is the date, 10:45 a.m. That's local time here in California. Latest activity shows a 3.0 out here across the area of Italy. Also, some further larger movement around Afghanistan with a 5.6 earthquake coming in the last hour. This region definitely getting bombarded with quite a bit of larger movement here recently. Here in the last 7 days, had a number of 5-pointers, including a 5.6 recently today, and then also a 6.0 back in the end of August. Got quite a bit of movement happening here in this little zone. Thinking that maybe we're just not done with the larger activity out here. Just got it's just an elevated amount of aftershock activity from a 6.0. Of course, that 6-pointer doing quite a bit of damage there around the populated areas of eastern Afghanistan. This 5.6, a little bit weaker, but still very shallow at 6.2 miles. So I'm sure that did some more damage in the area. Continue to watch that region. Definitely quite active out there. Also some newer activity here in Nevada once again. Looks like a 3-pointer coming in the last 20 minutes or so. I don't believe it's going to be this earthquake. That does look like another earthquake, but below the 2.5 threshold here that these guys are using for whatever reason. It almost looks like they did add a couple earthquakes below the 2.5 threshold. All right. But that was just yesterday. There's another one there on the 31st that got added on. So, but I still think there's quite a bit more earthquake activity in that swarm around Nevada than what's being reported. Either way, the latest quake, well, where'd it go? That's a little odd. Here we go again with the quakes just disappearing from the map. I wonder why it does that. You guys see that? It's just a little weird. It's showing up there on the 30-day all magnitudes, 1021 for a 3.0. But when you go to the... See, now it's back there. So I don't know. I think someone's messing with me. All right, so still got that swarm of activity out there in Nevada. A distance away from that McDermott supervolcano area up here in northwestern Nevada. I don't think it's associated with that, but it's definitely a decent swarm of movement out there, which we'll continue to keep an eye on. One earthquake up here towards the Cascadia subduction zone. This is actually 13 miles deep underneath the area for 1.7 this morning. Not a big earthquake, but it is associated with the Cascadia. Some further activity out on the Blanco fracture zone here. That was about 7 o'clock this morning for a 2.9. A couple other earthquakes down here across the southern end of the Cascadia, including a 3.2 this morning and a more recent 2.6. Pretty shallow earthquake activity there. Bay Area pretty quiet. Not a whole lot happening down there across this area of the San Francisco Bay. Activity down south. Nothing above 2.5. Just mainly small microquake activity out here, centered around this little bend area in the San Andreas Fault. Excuse me. But again, mostly smaller microquakes. No major swarms that I can see firing up right now across the area. Up in the Yellowstone National Park, there's looks like a handful up there. Let's go ahead and see what we got here for the Yellowstone stations real quick. And let's see, is this recent? It is recent here. A couple earthquakes. Looks like in the vicinity there, probably the Hebgen Lake area, seeing some earthquake activity this morning. 1.0 and a 1.6. A couple other ones in there this morning, but nothing big showing up there across the Yellowstone area. Let's see, the rest of the country out here is still seeing earthquakes there in the oil fields of Texas. One lonesome earthquake up here in Illinois this morning, a 2.1 outside of the Grayville area, 14 miles underneath this area. Definitely some interesting activity there. It's been relatively minor, though, in terms of earthquake activity out here across the New Madrid seismic zone and just in general in this vicinity of the today's quake, pretty quiet. But as always, there's potential for some larger movement out there. Let's see, the Alaska area. A couple more 2s and 3s overnight. There's that 6-pointer from yesterday. No further large-scale activity out here, but I am watching the Aleutian Trench quite closely because of the elevated activity out here in the last month and a half. A lot of sections here showing some decent movement. The Russia area, 4.6 this morning, it looks like. Nothing major going on. And let's see what we got here for the Japan area. There's a couple 4s there. Not so much into the Nankai Trough, but still watching this area as well. Taiwan region into the cluster zone of the Philippines southward. Pretty active today. Bunch of movement here all the way from the Sumatra and Java Trench area eastward. There's a 3.5 coming into the area right now, just off, looks like it's around the Sumatra area. New Zealand, pretty quiet. There's all that swarming going on in Nevada, a little bit of activity offshore of Oregon and California. Chile area, let's see what we got going on down there. There's the 5.9 and a 5.1 from last night. As far as any newer activity goes there's a handful of smaller quakes, but no larger quake activity to report there for that region. Just seeing some movement all over the place today. Pretty active. Let's go over and check out the Italy area here from the Raspberry Shake data stations. See if anything's popping up here in this area. I know they've had a number of earthquakes up here around the Campi Flegrei volcanic fields. Still got some earthquake activity out here with, looks like all these are from today as well. Quite a few 1s. The latest quake in the area shows a 3.5. A little decent swarm of activity here recently. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Nothing big going on there. Some earthquakes there around that volcano as well, and this is for the Italy area. I believe we had one earthquake out there. Oh, it's not showing up here on the USGS model, but here on the EMSC model we can see a little bit more activity here. Got this earthquake in the last hour, 3-pointer. They're really not showing all the smaller quakes out here around that Campi Flegrei field, that volcanic field out there. But there is a little swarm going on. Definitely got to keep an eye on that region. Cascadia tremor last night. 221 epicenters of tremor, mainly across the southern end here. So that's why we're seeing some elevated activity just offshore there, off the coast of northern California. We'll give a quick glance here at the Mount Rainier seismograph station here, see if there's anything that maybe is getting missed. These almost look like rock falls here. Those are more of a drawn out, thicker reading compared to what an earthquake would look like. I believe that's a legit earthquake there. There's a handful of smaller quakes, but that kind of looks like it's a rock fall. That was just after 9 o'clock here, so let me see what was in the area. Really nothing. That's way down south. So 1.7 along the coast. A couple other earthquakes there from yesterday, but I don't see any uptick going on there across the area of Mount Rainier. Now Mount St. Helens, we'll check that out as well. See if there's anything happening across this volcano. Some other noise out there as well. I don't think there's rock falls there at Mount St. Helens, but you never know. Some earthquake activity there in the little spikes, but no major uptick going on there as far as I can see. Yeah, it's just a pretty big cluster of quakes out here. Whole lot of movement happening. Southern California seems to be the odd spot here for quietness. I mean, we got a number of smaller quakes out here, but nothing above 2.5. In fact, see here in the last week, we've had, excluding these ones down here south of the border, we've had a couple smaller quakes here. Looks like the largest is going to be that 2.8, just off the San Andreas Fault here. Looks like on the Crafton Hills Fault Zone. But nothing big happening out here for now. Just a handful of smaller quakes there today. But as things shuffle around, we'll definitely keep an eye on it because they can start getting busy quite quickly. Hawaii, there a lot of activity yesterday underneath the Big Island. Today, only one more earthquake being reported, a 2-pointer. Let's see what we got here for the Kilauea volcano real quick. I know they just got through with an eruption, so we got a number of days before a return to episode, 33? Yeah, because 32 just ended. Let's see if there's anything changing down below. No, we're still going back up here. Gradually going up, and it looks similar to what took place there in the last 32 episodes. Inflation will lead up to an eruption again for 33, episode 33, and then we'll see how that behaves. But looks like everything's on tap there for the next eruption. Again, that's going to be in quite a few days, though. Space weather activity, nothing major going on as far as CME activity or the aurora forecast. Pretty quiet across the board there. Quick glance at the magnetogram image here of the sun. Man, I got that massive area just now departing the Earth-facing side of the sun, scooting off there on the western limb, and we're left with, just kind of watching this area up here. There's quite a bit of different popcorn type colors up here within, I think that's just 4207. I think that's just one sunspot. This is the image from last night. The more recent imagery does show some development. A couple different polarities here within the center of that core. That could spell some trouble for some flaring. We'll definitely have to watch that. That's 4207. Right now, flare threat probably reasonable there at 50% chance for M flare, 10% for X flare. But nothing major going on there as far as any solar storms go. Quick glance here at the next close approach asteroids to the planet. Shows this one, well, this one's way out there. 1.470,470,000 miles. That's a long ways away from the planet. Newly discovered 43-foot house-size asteroid there. Everything else is millions of miles away except for this one in a couple days. But even so, that's at a distance. Storm Prediction Center for severe weather-wise, not a whole lot of severe weather. There's a marginal risk. This lighter green color is just general thunderstorms. The main threat today looks to be just a little bit of wind from some of those thunderstorms out there in the brown. A little 5% chances there for damaging wind gusts and a little bit of hail across the, looks like outside of the Nashville area. All right, double checking the tropics out here. Well, the states, but I'm more interested in the what's going on out here in the tropics, and it looks like there may be something coming up here towards the middle of September. Now it's taking a different path. Last night and yesterday it showed a direct impact here with the East Coast. This is a ways out. That's why you can't take these models accurately 100% at all. Not until you get to about a day or two out. But this is, again, way out there. We got at least 10 days before we can see that tropical system out there in the Atlantic. And from there, who knows, this may not even play out the way it's playing out here. So just a weather forecast model that shows some guidance in terms of how the weather patterns could play out. But again, that's not, may or may not happen. Let's see, seismograph stations. There's a reading right there. Some S waves coming in to the Nevada station. What is that from? Interesting how it's wavy like that. Let's see. That 5.6 there in Afghanistan was over an hour ago now, so I don't believe it's that signal that's showing up. And that 3-pointer that came in almost an hour ago, that's not showing up on the seismograph station, but this wave looks like an S wave from a larger quake at a distance. So I'm not for sure exactly where that's coming from because no one else out here is picking that up. So it's a little interesting there, but I don't think it's anything big. But something showed up there. So if it's anything big, then I'll jump back on here. But for now, folks, enjoy your Thursday. Friday right around the corner here tomorrow, so got the weekend just upon us here in a very short amount of time. Supposed to be another hot one out here in California, close to 100. But then after that, we kind of cool down a little bit. Low 90s and even some mid to low 80s next week, so I'm okay with that. Definitely looking forward to the cooler weather. A super deep earthquake there into the Izu Trench. That was yesterday afternoon. But this quake here this morning, about 3 o'clock or so. Still watching the Nankai Trough. I don't think we got any major swarms going on there, but let's give a double glance here, see what we have. There's that 4.3. The area of interest around the Nankai Trough is going to be this station right here, or this area. Looks like there was a 2-pointer. A couple 2s out there. Nothing big. Some from yesterday, some from a couple days ago. See, now there's definitely something coming in here. I'm going to wait a second because that's an interesting wave pattern. And then what looks like another quake coming into the Russia area right now. Definitely a lot of movement, I would say. Pretty broad scale in terms of earthquake activity out here in the last 24 hours. Quite a bit going on today, scattered out and about. Nothing going on in the Atlantic. 3.3 down towards South Africa area, it looks like, just now. I'm just kind of curious to see how big that reading is going to be here. Let me check out the fires real quick while we're waiting on that. California definitely lit up on fire out here from all the thunderstorms here recently. So a couple big ones up there in the Trinity Mountains area, north of Redding. Out here on the eastern side of the San Joaquin Valley up towards the foothills, got a number of lightning sparked fires as well. This one, the 2-8 fire, looks like it's about 15% containment. The 6-5, 0% containment. That one's still burning pretty hot down here, mainly across the eastern edge here. There's some hot spots being detected. That definitely a big fire. And of course, a couple other ones out here around the region. This one's pretty big as well. Look at that, 30,000 acres. The Garnet fire, 12% containment. Big time hot spots being observed out there. Let's see if this camera can pick it up. Oh yeah, it's quite smoky. Looks like it may be heading to that camera. And quite a few pyrocumulus clouds out there as well. See the fire there in the background. That's not good. So hopefully they get a handle on it. Quick glance here at the seismograph station again. Not a big earthquake coming into Russia, so I was just kind of watching that P wave that came up. But I don't see anything that is large in terms of magnitude out here. And just kind of interesting here with this S wave type of signal. So I'll watch that here throughout the afternoon and report back on anything if there's anything to report on. We'll see you guys out here later on for the Thursday night update. Take care, folks.